thinking about getting a brain scan for your little one because you think that your little one is slower than their siblings? Hi there, it's Neesha from My Favourite Physio. In today's video, I'm jumping in to share my 2 cents worth about brain scans and babies. So here at My Favourite Physio, we see lots of little ones. It's not uncommon for parents to ask us, does my child need a brain scan? Because I've noticed that they are slower than my other children. So I thought I would jump in and share with you the pros and cons of having a brain scan and whether or not it is actually indicated for your child. So the first thing to remember is brain scans require an individual to stay still. Now, babies and children tend not to stay still, so therefore they need to be put under general anesthetic for them to lie still through a brain scan. Whenever you give a person or a child general anesthetic, you're exposing them to risk of complications. And those complications could include having a cardiac arrest, so having a heart attack. It could include having seizures. So it could include having adverse reactions that are unnecessary if your child doesn't need a brain scan. So then let's ask ourselves, why would we need a brain scan? Now, if you're concerned about your child's gross motor skills, we can easily determine their gross motor skills using specific gross motor skills assessments carried out by an expert pediatric physiotherapist. 99, if not 100% of our children here don't get a brain scan simply to determine their gross motor skills or to determine the cause of why they're delayed in their gross motor skills. So with early intervention, we're going to help our little ones improve their gross motor skills with or without a diagnosis. All we need to do is to assess them and determine if they're delayed, and if they're delayed, how are we going to help them move better? And we do that simply because we're able to tell their strengths and weaknesses through an assessment. That means that having a brain scan doesn't add to our treatment program and it doesn't add to their outcomes in any way. Now, there are some situations where we would want a brain scan because we're going to have to intervene surgically. So for example, if a child is suddenly drowsy, if suddenly you've noticed that your child's head circumference is very big, then perhaps there's some fluid trapped in the head. We need a brain scan because we might have to relieve that pressure by having surgery. Certainly in those situations, we would need a brain scan. Perhaps if you notice a child who's very alert suddenly start to lose their skills and start to really lose consciousness, then we're worried something's happening in the brain. And yes, we would have a brain scan for that. Sometimes they would even do a brain scan to determine if a child has cerebral palsy, whereby there is some brain damage that happened. But otherwise, a lot of the time, we don't need a brain scan. And for the cost of, putting your child under general anesthetic at the risk of complications, it certainly doesn't weigh out right. So if you are out there and you're concerned about your child and thinking, well, they're slower, one, you need to have them assessed to determine whether they are even slower or not. Because very often they might be slower than your older sibling, but they're not really slow because the gross motor skills attainment can start from some children walking at 11 months while some children walk at 18 and a half months. So there's a range for normal. And if your first child was walking at 11 months, but your second child walks at 18 months, that doesn't make them delayed. It just means your first child was more advanced. So there is no need for a brain scan just because you're comparing your two children. What we really want to compare is what is the standard norm we expect for a child of that age. So I hope that helps you if you're sitting out there and Dr. Googling, wondering, should I get a brain scan or not? The answer is no. You would really need a pediatrician to assess your child to determine if it's even relevant to get a brain scan, because you'll be putting your child under unnecessary risk for very little outcomes. So if you are concerned about your little one and want some help to help them get moving better, you're better off ringing us here at My Favourite Physio to speak to one of our expert pediatric physiotherapists. The number to ring is 02-9790-4233. And if you know somebody out there who's worried and wondering, brain scan, would I need a brain scan? Why don't you like and share this video with them? Until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye.